Hello, in today's video we are going to talk about how to stop the thought and how to get into the present moment, and by doing this how to stop your addiction to overthinking. My name is Daria. Welcome to my online meditation school and YouTube channel where I teach you how to live happier and more purposeful lives. If you like my video, don't forget to give me a like, subscribe to my channel, because I post videos every Wednesday and they may change your life. Also, if you would like to support my channel, below I link down my Patreon page. I also do online sessions with the clients where we explore the power of the subconscious. So if you would like to book it, I leave the link below as well. And now let's get into the video. So in today's video I wanted to talk about something that has been really coming up very often in the questions that people ask me. Basically what's happening is that you have a thought and then you just go on with this thought, and then 10 minutes later you still continue on that same note. Maybe there is some other thought or some developments coming up from that initial thought. And then 1 hour later you're still in the loop, and by that time you've already went through all the possible scenarios, what you should have or shouldn't have done in the past, what can and cannot happen in the future, and so on and so on. So basically by now your mind is completely out of control. And this can only bring you to possible scenarios where you're going to be thinking about the past and evaluating it and thinking why something happened, why it didn't happen, why you said something, why you didn't. Or you're going to go to the future where you're going to possibly think about worst case scenario, because that's your reptilian brain which is trying to protect you from that scenario, and that's a very normal reaction. But basically you're going to end up thinking about something quasi-catastrophic. And in today's video I want to give you 3 tips how to really stop the thought from happening. And by doing this you are going to stop the chain of thoughts from happening. So by catching this initial thought that is bringing you throughout the spiral of certain thinking, and is always ending up in the same way, where you feel exhausted, where you feel fearful, where you feel panicked, and nothing comes out of it. So by catching this first thought you will be able to stop this process right at the beginning. And by doing this you will also in the future you will be able to catch yourself earlier and not go there at all. And by doing this, by not exploring the same pattern over and over again, you are going to delete that pattern from your brain, which is great. That's great news. So let's get started straight away. Point number 1 I want to talk about is that you have to be able to recognize this thought. And you have to be able to name it. You can even say it out loud. And then after you recognize the thought, for example, my boss is always trying to get on my back and they are clearly against me. You say that, and then you need to think, wow, this is just a thought. This may be true, this may be not true. And does it really matter? We need to remember that thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates an electromagnetic field around you. So by thinking certain thoughts, especially if they're powered by certain emotions, you are drawing certain reality to yourself. So if you think something enough time, this is going to become your reality, even if it was not true at the first place. So what you want to do is you need to recognize that this is just a thought. This is how the brain communicates. That's the best way for it. But it has nothing to do with you or with the reality. You also need to remember that the thought is not a true thought, it's just a thought. And this is always going to be very pronounced. If you were to communicate that thought to a couple of people, they would probably come up with different thoughts, and then you would call it the difference of opinions. But when it's just you in front of you and you are used to you and the way of thinking, you think that this thought is true and only. But that's not true. And the first step to actually fight this thought is to identify that this is just a thought and it does not need to be true. Number 2, I will ask you to go into the present moment by doing something with your body. So it's either tapping into your body, depending how oppressive the thought is. To be honest with you, in my time when I was really struggling with getting out of the loop of obsessive thinking, I would just drop everything if I couldn't get out of the loop and go and do a hardcore, high-intensity interval training workout. Or I would go running and I would run 40 minutes, like with a reasonable pace. So this is going to take you into your body completely. You won't be able to focus on anything else. Plus, you're going to get the benefit of triggering the endorphins and all the good hormones. But at the end of the day, the task here is actually to get you into your body. For some, it will be good to just go into the meditation or hypnosis. Maybe if you have a therapist, you can book a session with them. That will definitely help to work on the brain to ease this thinking pattern as we speak. But just performing simple exercise is usually good enough to stop like an average intensity thought. Again, if the thought is very intensive, you can truly exercise very hard to get you out of your brain and into the body. By getting into the body, you are actually in the present moment in the most possible way and just observing what is in the body. You may become aware of your ears, you may become aware of your nose, you can become aware of your thumbs. Why is that so? We never do this. We are quite aware, let's say, about our knees. They give us sometimes some hurts, or wrists, or even hands, because we touch them a lot and they touch a lot of things. But if you ask a person, become aware of your nose, they will say, yeah, now I remember, I do have a nose. So we are not very much aware of certain parts of our body. And if we just become tuning to those parts, we are becoming aware of them. And this awareness, this mindful awareness, brings us into the present moment. And number 3, after you have recognized that this is just a thought and it has nothing to do with the reality and it is not true, and after you tapped into the body, so you worked an exercise or you just went and felt different parts of your body, you're going to do it for a few minutes, and then you are going to connect with somebody close to you. So possibly grab a phone and call somebody and have a chat, somebody who is a good friend of yours, or somebody that you have to discuss a completely separate issue to the thought that you had. Or maybe you want to call your bank and, I don't know, do the transaction and pay for something, or your energy provider, or you may want to call your partner and talk about the plans for tonight. So basically what you want to do is you definitely want to switch to a different thought pattern, and you want to share that with somebody that you possibly like. So by doing this, you are just simply switching to a different thinking pattern. And also, if you go and talk to somebody that is close to your heart, you're activating your heart center. So again, you're getting more into your body and you're getting more into the present moment. You will also trigger different hormones, like for example, bonding hormone, like oxytocin, or you will get a little bit of a dopamine hit if the speaking to this person is somehow pleasurable to you. So we want to evidently drop that previous thought and get into the new type of thought. Doesn't matter what that is. It may be something work related, it may be something related to running your errands, it may be something connected to your next task that you have to perform, but also it may be just a conversation about the plans with your beloved. And that will also give you additional benefits of getting more in tuned into your heart, emotions, and the body. By doing those three things, you're going to be well cut from the previous thought, and you're going to be put on a true new path to another thought pattern. And from there, you can just continue with your day. If the thought comes back, you have to do the same thing. But I can assure you that the more you do it, the more you are going to forget about the initial thought, and it's going to be much easier to break the cycle. I've been there, I know this. Let me know in the comments below that this is also your experience. Do you happen to have thoughts that you find difficult to break? And what is your best way to do it in the shortest possible time? I will be very curious to find out if you've got some other tips on this one. Again, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. I post content every Wednesday, and I hope this was helpful and insightful. And until next Wednesday, blessings.